Hello and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the 7th grade concept of converting units. This is standard 7.4E in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 19 of the 2018 released STAAR test. If you have not done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and then we will look at our answers together. So we have the distance between two towns, 120 kilometers, and then we get this ratio here. We've got 8 kilometers in 5 miles, approximately. It's not perfect, but it's close enough for calculations. So we need to find the measure that is closest to the distance between these two towns in miles. So we're simply just trying to change 120 kilometers into miles. And we know the ratio of 8 kilometers makes about 5 miles. So there's a few different ways we can solve this. So probably the first way I would do this would be to find a proportion, because take a look. I've got 3 units, and the units all have labels, and I see kilometers and I see kilometers. So I've got 2 units with kilometers. I've got 1 unit with miles, and the missing one is miles. So that, to me, screams proportion. So let's see if we can figure this out. 120, I'll use km, over my unknown number of miles. So I'll just make that x. And then I've got my ratio here. 8 kilometers is related to 5 miles. So we're going to make sure that our like units are in the numerator and the denominator. And we'll do a little cross multiplication here. So 8x equals 120 times 5. So 120 times 5, that's going to equal 600. So 8x equals 600, so we just need to divide both sides by 8 to isolate that variable. That is not one I can do in my head, so let's just go ahead and do a little long division here. So let's see, 8 goes into 67 times 56. Oh, that's nice. 8 goes into 40 5 times, and yeah, there's no remainder. So it looks like we're about 75 miles. I did mention there's another way to do this. It's a little bit longer, but it is a nice way to connect it, right? So there is something that we call the constant of proportionality, and it is represented with k, and we see it on our mathematics chart or formula chart, whatever you want to call it. And what that does is this lets us calculate our change. And when I was reading this, 8 kilometers in 5 miles, to me, that just looked like a ratio that would fit straight into this. So 8 kilometers, 5 miles, because they literally gave us a ratio here. So let's figure out what this k is, and we'll use it in another equation, and we can make it work. So 8 kilometers equals 5 miles. So 8/5. So I need to divide up. 5 goes in 8 once. 1 3/5. Probably better to go ahead and make that into a decimal. So fifths are equal to 20 each, right? So we can do this. We can just multiply by 2, and that's going to be 6/10. There you go, 1.6. So my k equals 1.6. Now, how does that help me? Well, in my equation that I use for rate, it's y equals kx. Well, my k equals 1.6. And remember, my kilometers were my y, and they gave me the y of 120. So they gave me 120 kilometers, and I'm looking for x miles. So I can just divide both sides by 1.6. So if I were to divide 1.6 into 120, guess what I'm going to get? A 75.